For one to be recognizable in the eyes of God, you can't get married again until the first marriage ends. In a world where beliefs are constantly shifting, Pastor Gio Jennings stands firm, declaring his message with unwavering conviction. He bids goodbye forever to any compromise in his theology, claiming that the church is the biggest racket in the world. According to Jennings, the reason people cannot see the racket within their churches is their lack of biblical knowledge. Known for his bold views on homosexuality, gender roles, and the prosperity gospel, Jennings has sparked controversy that resonates far beyond church walls. As tensions rise and debates heat up, the question lingers: what does this finality in his stance mean for his followers and the future of uncompromising theology? Faith and uncompromising theology. Gio Jennings is a name that often stirs up strong feelings, and for good reason. His uncompromising theology sets him apart in the world of modern Christianity. Jennings firmly believes in a strict interpretation of the Bible, refusing to bend or twist scripture to fit modern trends or societal changes. While many religious leaders adapt their messages to be more inclusive, Jennings stands his ground, insisting that the Bible's original teachings must remain unchanged. At the heart of his theology is the belief that every word in the Bible is sacred and should be taken literally. This approach can be refreshing to those who appreciate a clear and straightforward message, but it can also be polarizing, especially in a world that increasingly values flexibility and acceptance of diverse lifestyles. Jennings's views on issues like same-sex marriage and divorce often lead to heated discussions, as he categorically opposes both, claiming they go against God's design. One of the most striking aspects of Jennings's theology is his rejection of the traditional Christian doctrine of the Trinity. Instead, he advocates for a non-Trinitarian view, which places him at odds with many mainstream Christian denominations. This bold stance has earned him a loyal following, but it has also attracted criticism from those who find his interpretations too rigid. Jennings does not shy away from expressing his beliefs publicly. He often engages in debates with other religious leaders, challenging their more modern interpretations of Scripture. This willingness to confront his peers has made him a controversial figure, but it has also brought attention to his ministry. His supporters admire his dedication to what they perceive as the true message of Christianity. In a world where many seek a middle ground, Jennings's theology serves as a reminder that some are unwilling to compromise their beliefs. For better or worse, his strong stance has created ripples in the religious community, prompting followers and critics alike to reflect on their values and faith. Whether you agree with him or not, there's no denying that Jennings's approach sparks conversation and challenges the status quo. Controversial views on homosexuality. Gio Jennings has made headlines for his controversial views on homosexuality, a topic that sparks intense debates in both religious and social circles. For Jennings, the Bible is clear. He believes homosexuality is a sin and goes against God's plan for human relationships. This stance has not only defined his ministry, but has also placed him at the center of heated discussions. In a world increasingly embracing diversity and acceptance, Jennings stands firm in his belief that there is no room for compromise. He frequently refers to Scripture to support his views, claiming the Bible explicitly condemns homosexual acts. His literal interpretation resonates with many of his followers, who appreciate his straightforward approach and view him as a defender of traditional values. However, his teachings have also drawn significant criticism, with many, including fellow Christians, arguing that his stance is outdated and harmful. Critics contend that love and acceptance should be the core of Christianity, not judgment and condemnation. Jennings's public discussions often feature heated confrontations with other religious leaders who promote a more inclusive message. His critics argue that his teachings contribute to the stigma faced by LGBTQ+ individuals, leading to feelings of rejection and isolation. Despite the backlash, Jennings has garnered a dedicated following. Supporters appreciate his consistency and believe his teachings encourage people to live according to biblical principles, which they see as essential for spiritual growth. Whether one agrees with Jennings or not, his views continue to provoke meaningful conversations about morality, faith, and acceptance. Criticism of gender roles. Gio Jennings has strong opinions about gender roles, sparking extensive debate. He believes men and women have specific roles in society, particularly within the church. For Jennings, these roles are not merely social constructs but are rooted in biblical teachings. He argues that the Bible outlines clear distinctions regarding men's and women's responsibilities, and he unapologetically defends his views. According to Jennings, men are meant to be leaders and providers. He emphasizes that men should lead their families spiritually and take charge of their households. This traditional view of masculinity appeals to many followers who see it as a way to restore order in a chaotic world. On the other hand, Jennings teaches that women should dress modestly and avoid makeup and jewelry, which he believes distract from spiritual focus. Furthermore, he opposes women taking leadership roles within the church. These perspectives have drawn criticism from advocates of gender equality, who argue that his views reinforce outdated stereotypes and limit women's potential. Critics call for a more inclusive interpretation of Scripture, one that recognizes the value of women in all aspects of life. Despite the backlash, Jennings remains steadfast, asserting that his beliefs align with biblical teachings. His critics see his ideas as restrictive, while supporters view them as a necessary return to traditional values. Public disputes with other leaders. Gio Jennings is no stranger to public disputes with other religious leaders, which often draw widespread attention. His strong beliefs and refusal to back down have led to memorable exchanges that highlight differing interpretations of faith and Scripture. One notable clash was with T.D. Jakes, a prominent pastor with a large following and a more modern interpretation of Christianity. Jennings disagreed with Jakes's views on the Trinity, accusing him of misleading people about the true nature of God. This disagreement has fueled ongoing tension between the two, keeping their respective followers engaged. Another high-profile dispute involved Jamaican artist Mr. Vegas. The two debated women's roles and attire in the church, with Jennings defending his belief in modest dress and Mr. Vegas advocating for personal expression. These confrontations showcase Jennings's willingness to engage with those who challenge his views, further cementing his reputation as a polarizing figure. Freedom. This debate escalated to the point where Mr. Vegas was escorted out of the venue, showcasing how passionately both sides felt about their beliefs. These public disputes have made Jennings a polarizing figure. Some people admire his courage to confront other leaders and openly discuss controversial topics. They see him as a protector of traditional values in a rapidly changing world. Others, however, criticize him for being too confrontational and unyielding. They argue that his approach creates division rather than fostering unity among believers. Despite the backlash, Jennings remains steadfast in his beliefs and continues to engage in discussions with those who oppose him. He sees these public disputes as opportunities to share his message and defend what he believes to be the truth. For Jennings, standing firm in his faith is more important than maintaining friendly relations with others. Gio Jennings's public disputes with other leaders highlight the ongoing conversations within Christianity about faith, interpretation, and morality. Whether loved or hated, his willingness to confront others keeps the dialogue alive and challenges followers to think critically about their beliefs. Opposition to the prosperity gospel. Gio Jennings is a strong critic of the prosperity gospel, a belief that encourages Christians to pursue wealth and success as signs of faith. This teaching suggests that if you give money to the church or have strong faith, God will bless you with riches and a comfortable life. While many people find hope in this message, Jennings sees it as a dangerous distortion of true Christianity. For Jennings, the prosperity gospel shifts the focus away from spiritual growth and devotion to God. He believes that it places too much emphasis on material wealth, which can lead people astray from what really matters in life. Instead of seeking a deeper relationship with God, Jennings argues that followers of this teaching may become obsessed with getting rich. He often reminds his audience that true faith should not be about what we can gain, but about serving God and others. In his sermons, Jennings frequently points to Scripture, arguing that Jesus did not promise wealth to his followers. Instead, Jesus spoke about sacrifice, humility, and the importance of helping those in need. Jennings believes that the prosperity gospel misrepresents these core teachings, leading many to believe that financial success is a sign of God's favor. He warns that this mindset can create disappointment and confusion when life does not go as planned. Jennings's opposition to the prosperity gospel has made him a controversial figure. Some people appreciate his commitment to traditional values and his insistence on focusing on spiritual rather than material wealth. Others, however, criticize him for being too rigid and not understanding the hopes and dreams of people who seek financial stability. Despite the criticism, Jennings continues to speak out against the prosperity gospel, believing it is his duty to guide people back to the true message of Christianity. Through his passionate teachings, he challenges his followers to look beyond wealth and seek a genuine relationship with God. For Jennings, the path to true fulfillment lies not in riches, but in faith, service, and love for one another. Media representation and backlash. Gio Jennings has become a well-known figure not just in the religious community, but also in the media. His media representation is often mixed, reflecting both support and criticism. Jennings's strong opinions on topics like homosexuality, gender roles, and the prosperity gospel have caught the attention of journalists, bloggers, and social media users. While some portray him as a bold defender of traditional values, others label him as controversial or even extreme. The media coverage of Jennings often highlights his confrontational style and willingness to challenge other religious leaders. This has led to a backlash from those who disagree with him. Critics argue that his views contribute to a culture of intolerance and that his rhetoric can be harmful, especially to marginalized groups. They believe that his teachings can alienate people who are seeking acceptance and understanding in their faith. Jennings's direct and sometimes inflammatory statements have also led to negative portrayals in various outlets. Some articles and segments focus on his more controversial remarks, which can overshadow his more positive message about faith and community. This selective representation can create a one-sided view of his ministry, leading to misunderstandings about his true intentions. On the other hand, Jennings has a loyal following that appreciates his unapologetic approach. His supporters argue that the media often misrepresents him, focusing on sensational aspects rather than his core message of spiritual growth and devotion to God. They believe that Jennings is merely standing up for what he sees as the truth, and they value his consistency in a world that can seem confusing and contradictory. Despite the backlash, Jennings continues to speak out through various media channels, including social media. He uses these platforms to share his beliefs and engage with both supporters and critics. His ability to spark conversation, whether positive or negative, shows that he is a significant figure in today's religious landscape. Global reach and influence. Gio Jennings has built a global reach and influence that extends far beyond his local community. His passionate preaching and strong beliefs have attracted followers from various countries, creating a network of believers who resonate with his message. Through his ministry, he has reached people not just in the United States but also in places like Jamaica, Canada, and parts of Europe and Africa. One of the key factors in Jennings's global influence is his use of modern technology. He leverages social media platforms, streaming services, and YouTube to share his sermons with millions of people around the world. These tools allow him to connect with audiences who may not have access to traditional church services. His online presence helps him spread his teachings widely and engage with followers in real time, fostering a sense of community among those who support his views. Jennings's message often emphasizes a return to traditional Christian values, which appeals to many individuals searching for clarity and purpose in their lives. His strong stance against modern interpretations of Christianity, such as the prosperity gospel, resonates with those who feel disillusioned by contemporary teachings. Many followers appreciate his straightforward approach and dedication to what he believes to be the true essence of faith. His global influence has also led to the establishment of branches of his ministry in various countries. These branches serve as hubs for like-minded believers, creating a supportive environment for those who share his views. During events and conferences, Jennings often travels to connect with his international followers, further strengthening their commitment to his teachings. However, with this global reach comes criticism. Some people argue that his rigid beliefs can create division within the Christian community. Despite the backlash, Jennings remains focused on his mission, believing that he is fulfilling a calling to guide people back to what he sees as the true teachings of the Bible. Travel restrictions and censorship. In a world that is increasingly connected, travel restrictions and censorship can significantly impact individuals and organizations, including religious leaders like Gio Jennings. As he has gained global influence, his strong beliefs have sometimes put him at odds with authorities in different countries. This has led to challenges that affect his ability to travel and share his message with followers abroad. Travel restrictions can arise for various reasons. In some places, government officials may view Jennings' teachings as controversial or divisive. As a result, they may impose restrictions on his ability to speak or hold events. This can be frustrating for Jennings and his followers, who see these limitations as an obstacle to spreading their beliefs. For them, sharing their faith is not just a personal mission, it is a way to connect with others who share their values. Censorship can also play a role in how Jennings' message is received around the world. In certain countries, the government may control what information is allowed to be shared publicly. This can include limiting access to religious content that does not align with the state's views. As a result, Jennings' sermons or materials may not reach audiences that could benefit from his teachings. Despite these challenges, Jennings remains determined to find ways to connect with his followers. He often uses online platforms to bypass traditional barriers, ensuring that his message continues to reach a global audience.